At Old Trafford.
Yes.
Yes, I interviewed both the manager afterwards, and I had to give myself a bit of encouragement because there was only one question we had to ask them. How on earth can you play such a lack of entertaining football game?
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola went into his one-word answers.
Right.
We made him into 2 or 3. But Amorim, he said, I've seen some progress in this team. Yeah, okay. But he had to admit it wasn't not an entertaining game. It was like people looked at each other and said, do we see what we're seeing? There were times in the game, and you saw the game, there were times that both teams just missed losing the ball all the time. Kevin De Bruyne, that was the game for him. This was the game after he said he's going to leave English football. He's going to be fantastic. Unfortunately, he was like the rest of the team, unfortunately.
Kieran, you must have played in games similar to that. Are you aware of how rubbish it is when you're playing?
I mean, especially at this stage of the season, that you have to take everything into context. For Man City, it's a bit of a consolidation season for them. We know they haven't been great all season, and United, you know, they have a story of their own. But they also have one eye on the Europa League. You know, I watched Arsenal's game, which was pretty underwhelming against Everton at the weekend, and I can't say that, you know, they have one eye on the Champions League without defending United. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Oh my God, Kieran, you didn't even watch it, did you? You didn't even watch it. You're out gallivanting around, teaching kids in Miami.
He was watching Bundesliga on his phone.
No, I did watch it.
No,
I've actually got it on now. I've actually got it on now again.
Yeah.
I've actually got it on now again in the background. It was.
It's to get your one-year-old to sleep. There you are. Put that on. It's nap time. Get rid of that.
But you have to admit, you have to admit at this stage of the season, you know, they've got, it's a massive game for them next week. Not even a Manchester derby can take their eyes off of how big that game is for them with the season that they're having. You know, imagine if they go and turn it around and lift the Europa League. They're not thinking about a Manchester derby with the magnitude of that game around the corner. This is a chance for them to completely rewrite the script of the whole season. The worst season in Man United's history. So, you know, I have to defend them on this one a little bit.
I mean, will Manchester United attract the best strikers in the world? The answer is no. Will they then go for an Englishman who's done brilliantly for a struggling team? Then Delap could be your man. But he's not a finished man. He's like an English Højlund, he could be. He could turn out to be.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it, Jan? Because at least he's done it in the Premier League.
No,
you
I'm
look
just
at
saying,
Xerxes and Højlund. You're saying, that, you know, he's going to be the English Højlund. I feel like you're having to go in because he's English.
You, Daniel, you. I mean, nothing to do with that. It's just where you put the striker. If you hope for a striker that will come in and be a finished striker, a big-time striker, then he's not the guy. This is a young developer, and like I said, he has had a fantastic, good season for a struggling team. I think what is interesting for Amorim this season, he said it this week, and I talked to him about that as well on Sunday, that he has to make a plan, and the consequences of that plan need to be the players that he's bringing in. And if the Manchester United fans looking for a big name, Delap is not the answer, but maybe Delap could fit perfect into his system, but he's not the finished striker. Nobody can claim that he is.
So,
if he stays at Ipswich and scores goals well, he can't because they're going to go down.
Right. Unfortunately, your point fell apart quite quickly.
Kieran thinks he's going to score 36 goals next season.
I'm trying to think on the positive side and not come out with the obvious.
But
unfortunately, the obvious is actually true. Because you score goals in the Premier League for a team that everybody figured was going to get relegated, it's a free run with no pressure as a centre-forward. That is what it is. And that's what he's done. Playing centre-forward for Manchester United is a completely world apart from playing centre-forward for Ipswich Town today. And so, he could maybe fall... He's more likely, put it that way, he's more likely to fall into the same trap as Højlund. because he doesn't have the experience that he can call upon if he does go to Man United and all of a sudden after 4, 5, 6 games he doesn't score the goal and then the world's caving in on him. He doesn't have the experience to handle that.
Is it better than what they got?
Yes, he is better.
I
than
disagree.
What they've got. But well, they don't have anything, so how can he not be better?
Kieran?
I disagree. I'd take him at Arsenal, to be honest. I think he's got a release clause of what, 40-odd million, which I mean is an absolute bargain. Let's be honest. And I think that the season he's having, the profile that he has, I mean, he changes Man United completely, and I think he adds even to a team like Arsenal. He's physical. He's been dominant. You know, he's pretty much he's manhandled a lot of the centre halves in the Premier League. I think you don't really need to see too much else from him. He's also got quite good feet for a big player. He can go past the player. He can go left and right. I think he's a top talent, and I wouldn't be surprised if a team like United or Arsenal come in for him.
I know Kieran, I know where you're coming from, and I agree with your description of the player. I think there is difference between Arsenal and Manchester United, though, because Manchester United already got Højlund and Xerxes. They paid £1 billion million to get him, whatever. Arsenal don't even have a striker, so Delap will absolutely strengthen Arsenal because any striker would, in terms of, quote, would. I think that he will fit better to Arsenal than to Manchester United because at Arsenal, he comes to a team that is functioning. His defined role is to be their number 9. They're creating chances. That is not the case at Manchester United. And we can criticize Højlund all day long, but wow, it's hard to play striker for Manchester United this season.